Welcome into Boxing Scene Today here at the ProBox TV studios. Well, buried a little bit under the return of Manny Pacquiao was Tim Tszyu, Sebastian Fundora. Big question in that fight. What did Tim Tszyu have left? Would Sebastian Fundora actually fulfill his potential at 154 pounds? A lot of questions about him. Well, those questions were answered when Tim Tszyu refused to get off the scale at the end of round number 7, a TKO win in the rematch. To break it down, Jimmy Smith alongside the champs, Chris Algieri, Paulie Malignaggi. Chris, I like to say, don't ice skate uphill, right? Fight for your build. Do what you need to do. You're the taller guy. Use your jab, your range. It's almost like Fundora woke up and went, I'm damn near 7 feet tall. No one can get past me if I use range and volume. That looked like the strategy, Chris.
Yeah, I think it was a couple things. I'm a big Tim Tszyu fan. I've liked his whole trajectory. He's the kind of guy who wants to fight everybody. He's an absolute warrior. But I think he's a little shop-worn already. And it's not just that, because Fundora, as you said, actually used his height for once. I think it's a little bit of both. You know, a little bit from column A, a little bit from column B. I think Tim is a little shop-worn from the rough schedule that he's had recently. And also Fundora's getting better. And Fundora's starting to realize, listen, I am 6 feet tall, 6'7". I have this crazy long reach.
6 feet tall? How dare you?
Yeah,
he is 6'7", right? 6 feet is tall.
I was going to
That's
say,
what's so funny,
say
right?
7 feet tall, but I mean, he's closer to that than he is to 6.
Right.
But he goes out there and he's snapping this jab. And the first fight, he used the jab, but he used it kind of slovenly. He's just kind of putting it out there just because he had a guy in front of him that was basically blind with blood in his eyes. And he was just putting it out there, boom, sticking it. This time it was different. It was deceptive. It was snappy. He was using it to hide the left hand. Those first 3-4 rounds, the way he was letting that left hand go, I was like, ugh, this guy is scary. If he fights like this, he's a problem for absolutely everybody in a very, very deep division. But then you started to see some of those lapses. Tim Tszyu starts landing these clean shots. I mean, right on the money. Couldn't hurt Fundora. Fundora, again, apparently is an ever-improving fighter, is taking a good shot. But also, I think Tim just doesn't have that world-class one-shot power. Yep. And we saw that. But he still gets hit. He still likes to fight. He's still an exciting fighter. But, man, if he can keep that jab going for more than 5 or 6 rounds, how do you beat him? How do you beat that guy?
That's what I'm asking myself as well. Paulie, it almost looked like, for those who remember Paul Williams, rangy fighter who would throw 200 punches around and just you couldn't find your own offense in the middle. That's what that fight reminded me of. What do you think of Fundora's performance?
I thought it was, he showed he's an ever-improving fighter. Showed things that I didn't expect from him. And it really credit to him, because you can see that he's put in the work in the gym. You know, some guys put in the work in the gym, but it's just redundant work. They're just, conditioning themselves. They're good fighters and they're just in their prime, so they're just continuing to work hard. And some guys are putting in the intelligent work in the gym and making the subtle changes to their style. You think of on the same card, even Manny Pacquiao, for example, when he started inculcating the left hook, the right hook into his style as a southpaw when he joined Freddie Rhodes.
Manila Ice.
I thought,
Manila Ice.
I thought that was, something that you saw. Okay, that's putting in work. That's an added dimension to the fighter. Well, with Fundora, it kind of was the same thing. We've gotten accustomed to the Fundora that we know. He's a tall guy who reminded me a little bit of maybe a poor man's Diego Corrales, in that he's a tall guy who likes to fight on the inside and will battle with you and can outshoot you in a shootout. And sometimes he goes down like he did with Mendoza, and sometimes you go down like in a loop,
like everybody
for
else.
Example. You know what I'm saying? So he's almost like a gunslinger of the old West. Even though he's so tall, he never really uses that tall fighter. And the tall fighter advantages, and that's the Fundora you got accustomed to, and that was a world-class Fundora. It was a Fundora that was beatable, but it was also a fun Fundora to watch. It was a Fundora that you knew no matter who he fought, they were going to have their hands full. But you also saw his defense was very poor. Didn't always make the smartest decisions, but it made him a fun fighter to watch. This Fundora, you showed up and you're like, this guy's been putting some work in the gym, man. This guy has been putting not just the work in the gym. Like I said, everybody puts in the work in the gym, but he's been putting the intelligent work in the gym. And then, of course, you add to the fact that this guy's got a Harvard shirt on and he's going to Harvard and he's got this scholarship going. And I'm like, this guy's got a little bit of Clark Kent thing going. I kind of like it. I kind of like
he's got the glasses,
the punching collegiate.
Yeah.
I was like, he's going to steal your shine, champ.
Yep.
I didn't go to Harvard. I got a couple of degrees, but I didn't go to Harvard.
I really liked it. And I like Tim Tszyu too. I think he's a guy. I think Tim Tszyu is gonna become a cautionary tale in that you got to be careful the way you move a fighter who's got world class potential, because you can easily ruin somebody if you move him in the wrong direction. I think Tim Tszyu probably isn't going to be the same anymore, and only he knows that more than anything else. What I'm saying is just an opinion. What everybody else is just saying isn't just an opinion. You as a fighter and as a human being and as a man have the power the mentality to change that or not. But it is, from the outside looking in, it is difficult to see Tim Tszyu being the same anymore.
Well,
and go ahead.
Let's talk about the stoppage of that fight. Since you're on it, it came at the end of a round in which Tim Tszyu looked better than he had before. He was landing big punches. We thought might be the start of a comeback. That doesn't help the perception as you're talking about.
Yeah, I just think he's worn out. You got to figure a very tough fight with Fundora, very difficult fight. Then you go into Murtazaliev, which is a guy who was a boogeyman who nobody really was dealing with, and Tszyu, said, what, I'll take on Murtazaliev and try to grab this title, and gets absolutely blown out by a guy who you realize is more of a boogeyman than anybody was thinking about at 154.
Like, it's real. He is the it's not fake.
So and it was like you could see the shock on Tszyu's face when he was getting hit from this guy, So now you've got that. Now you've got the PTSD from the Fundora fight, the cut, now basically the atomic bombs dropped on you in the Murtazaliev fight. Joey Spencer is, Joey Spencer does nothing for you. He's one of those guys where you wonder how he even got here. Like, I know I'm hard on some fighters, but I just I don't know. They're just there. After that, you got this fight, and Fundora shows up. You got a mentality where you've seen Fundora before. You kind of know what you're going to deal with. Champ mentioned that Fundora used the jab in the first fight, but his jab wasn't really that good in the first fight. I mean, he used it, but it was like Tszyu could make him. If you don't, the thing about a jab is if you don't know how to use it the correct way, it actually works against you. These guys start to counter and come over the
especially a guy that tall.
Yeah. Guys counter and come over the top of it. So your jab has to be in unison with your ability to change the distance on your feet. Adjust the distance with your feet. If you're stepping back, you can use a different kind of jab. If you're stepping forward, it's a different kind of jab. You're changing range with it. You're changing height with it. You're feinting with it. And your feet have to adjust all that. Level changes, distance changes, and all that. And that's how you make an effective jab. If you don't do the other things, just using your jab works against you, because a good fighter is going to come over the top of it and start making you pay for it. You're better off not using it. So I felt like the jab Fundora used in the first fight, it was only working because Tszyu couldn't see. But even despite that, he still paid for it in some spots. When Tszyu could see, he was getting cracked over the top of it. I thought the guy wasn't even going to last 6 rounds. I was like, this guy, he's got his nose broke already in 1 round. Tszyu's going to stop this guy in about 6 rounds prior to the cut. So I didn't really see that kind of jab in the first fight, despite the fact that he ended up using it more, and it looked better than it actually was because of the cut. Tszyu couldn't see, so now he's making progress with it. But this fight, he's stepping back, using it. He's stepping in, using it. He's not overcommitting to any of the offense. He's shooting little tight left hands to where he's not falling in with it and giving up his height. Little shots, turning knuckles over. If you look at the knockdown in round 1, very key point that was not made on the broadcast. They both land left hooks. Tszyu lands from the right-handed stance. Fundora lands from the southpaw stance and an arcing left hand. Both land the left. The difference in why Tszyu goes down and Fundora doesn't feel it is because Tszyu doesn't turn the knuckles over on his hook. It's a slap hook. Fundora, if you notice, has the knuckles turned over on his turning hook, and that's why Tszyu goes down. Little technical adjustments, little fundamental superiority things that like in that exchange of hooks that made the difference. Because if Tszyu turns the knuckles over on his hook, maybe that's a double knockdown. But Tszyu has a hook that
I don't think so, because he landed really good ones later on and did nothing to Fundora.
I'm telling you, he didn't turn a lot of those over, man. So,
later on
the TV, you saw. I'm telling you, look at the replays.
I was there live.
He doesn't turn. Yeah. He did not turn in the same way. And of course, I'll admit, like I wasn't a guy that turned a lot of punches over myself. You know what I mean? So it's not. I can tell you the flaw because it didn't work out. It didn't work for me too in a lot of ways. When you turn knuckles over, everybody tells you turn a knuckle over, you'll get more steam on it. You lose about a split second. So sometimes you kind of like have to make that decision. Do I want to lose that split second? Is that something could come back in return? So maybe I'll just slap it and not have to worry about the return. But if you take the time to learn it right and do it right, see, that was a subtle thing They both land at the same time. Tszyu goes down because Fundora turned the knuckle over.
What I'm curious about, Chris, is we're talking the same thing about Brian Norman Jr., right? We were like, good, but developing. Okay, where's this guy going to go? Can he learn enough to catch up? Was this the moment for Fundora? We went, okay, this guy's a huge problem in a we knew he was a problem, but what Paulie just said is we knew it was a problem. We didn't know he would fundamentally change to get so much better. Is he, to a lot of people, maybe now the man at 154, a very crowded division? Was this his moment?
Well, so with Norman, he was so young that you're like, there's time. He can still learn. He's learning at a high level, and he's getting better as the competition goes up. With Fundora, it almost, to me, looks like at this point where he was just fighting before because he was such a anatomical gift.
Freak.
Yeah, I don't like to use freak because you might offend him or some people. I don't want to offend anybody, but he's
tall for the weight class.
Freak of nature.
Freak of nature.
He has anatomical gifts.
Yes.
Which makes him...
genetic freak.
Literally, pun intended, head and shoulders above the competition.
Yeah.
He can just go out there and be like, you know what, I can just fight these guys, and I'm durable enough, and I train hard. Now it's like, oh, okay, actually, I can actually use these gifts better. And he's actually, like you said, champ, putting the work in, putting smart work in, training smarter, not harder, because I think they always trained hard. They have legendary sparring sessions in their backyard. You know about that, right?
Yes.
They actually train in their backyard. They have a ring set up. They literally have housing for sparring partners to come up to the country and train over there. And I've talked to some guys who train there. The sparring's insane. These guys.
Where do they live? It's in the country?
They're
outside
somewhere
LA?
in California.
Yeah, somewhere in California, out in the States.
What's the name of it? I know.
Like near where Fresno, like where we were, type of thing?
It's
No.
There's a lot of sticks in Cali, though.
Yeah,
there are.
There is.
Is it east of like Calabasas?
It'll come, it's something like that. It'll come to me. But anyway, so I think that a lot of it up until very recently, it was just like, we're just going to work hard and go and fight guys and beat them up.
Right.
And then they realized, like, listen, you have these gifts. I think the damage he took in the first fight with the nose, they're like, all right, we're going to make adjustments now. We don't need to be taking this damage. We saw a piece of it come back in this fight because he did stand his ground and get cracked a lot, and he did actually hurt his nose again. But I think these guys are putting in the smart work, and they're starting to realize that, those anatomical gifts aren't just about beating guys up. You can actually box and be smart, take less damage, get rid of these guys in a classy fashion, and still be exciting. Listen, watching that guy fight is fun. Seeing someone who's 6'7" at 154 pounds, bang, 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 and drop those hard
loose, snappy punches. Yeah, it was cool.
He looked very calm this fight. Boom, boom, walking down. Because when you can stand in the center of the ring and hit the guy in his own corner, I mean, that's something to see. So he is a very entertaining fighter no matter what. And then also he does like to get into these battles and these wars.
Is he number 154?
He's the guy to beat. He's the guy to beat because
Murtazalia, bro. Murtazalia beats.
See this?
Okay, but it's not.
Make the hand sign. Make the hand sign. Make the hand sign.
I was gonna say this when you were talking.
And Bohachuk too.
I was gonna say this when
It's a tough division, man. Yeah.
I was gonna say this when you were talking about
and Virgil
Murtazalia.
Oh yeah, that guy Virgil Ortiz, who's a damn giant. Am I wrong when we saw him in Central California? Big boy. Go ahead.
Isn't Bohachuk taller than Virgil when they fought?
Yes.
Bohachuk's a monster too.
Bohachuk's tall. I was going to say this when you were talking, Paulie, is the Murtazalia fight with Tim Tszyu. A year from now, we might look at that and be like, Tim, he
picked wrong.
Not even that he picked wrong. It's just like, well, Murtazalia just did to everybody else what he did to Tim. He might do the same thing to Fundora. Like, he's that kind of guy. We just don't know enough yet. I can't put him at number one yet because we just don't know enough. Yes, he had a breakout against Tszyu, but like,
Fundora, but nobody wants to test themselves and find out.
Well, they're not going to have a choice. He's got a title. Thank God he has a title. Because Murtazalia doesn't have a title, we never see.
But Golovkin had a title.
Right.
Nobody wanted to go near him.
Yeah, but they still put him on TV. He had HBO behind him. He was still able.
And division wasn't as deep.
Murtazalia is going to be literally a barren wasteland, but he has a title, so that's going to keep him in the mix. But I do believe the Fundora Xander Zayas fight is probably going to happen pretty soon. You get a unification. Then Fundora's. I mean, Xander thinks, and his team think they have his number. I don't know if they have this new version of Fundora's number. But
Xander's got a tough fight this weekend.
Yes, he does.
So let's look at the other side of it. Tim Tszyu shot. I mean, it's hard. Yes. In the public eye, it is very hard to get over no mas. It's tough.
It's for me, it's not really the no mas because it was just I just felt like he's just worn down. Like he's like, I'm worn down. I can't do it anymore. Because it wasn't just that fight. If it was just that fight, it's like, okay, maybe you quit. It's like you got to be willing to stick it out. But it's the composite number of these kind of fights.
He's 1-3 in his last 4. Yeah.
It's just like I just can't. I don't want to deal with it anymore. I can't deal with it anymore. And I won't go as far as to say he's totally done, but he probably needs a run of like 4 or 5 fights back in Australia. Your Joey Spencers of the world. Your what's that guy that Thurman just knocked out?
Brock.
Yeah, exactly.
Your Brocks of the world. You know, like you need.
What's his name? That guy? Yeah.
You need a few of those where you see how you feel beating them. You work on some things. And then maybe you take a chance. Maybe in the meantime, the division kind of starts to take shape. Some guys leave. It opens up some opportunities. You know, maybe you get a fight with Xander Zayas or something if he's still around. If somebody hasn't knocked him off by then, because at this weight class, anybody can knock anybody off anyway. And who knows? But I think you're going to have to take a year or two. It's going to take a year or two. And you got to enjoy the process of taking a step back. And you can only do that if you really love what you're doing. And at this age, sometimes you don't know what
30
you're
ain't
doing.
young, dude.
Yeah.
In boxing.
Well, at
In
this
boxing,
age,
it's
also
not.
you also start to get other responsibilities. Guys get married. Guys have kids. Guys start to open up side jobs and businesses, and they have to kind of attend to other businesses and passive incomes that they start to do with their money because a piece of you is already getting ready for retirement. So it's harder to stay super hungry and be determined to take a step back. It's harder to do, but I'm not saying it can't be done. Because I don't know the hunger Tim Tszyu has. I want to make one more point though.
Please.
When Tszyu was making that run late in the fight when he finally said, okay, I had enough. But he had been landing some good shots. The thing about Fundora is I think Tszyu realized, like, okay, Fundora's slipping back into what he usually does in fights. The problem is it's what he usually does, and he usually wins doing that too. So it's like, okay, this guy was boxing me, but now I'm cracking him and I'm starting to land. Usually you'd be like, I'm getting to him. With Fundora, it's like, I'm getting to him, but now it's just going to be the kind of fight he usually fights, which is still a difficult fight, and I don't have it in me anymore.
This is what I saw. This is what I saw at the end of that, because when you said earlier, I wanted to talk about it. So I was in the ring in the room that night, and I'm watching this fight, and listen, I was rooting for Tim. I predicted Tim was going to win the fight. I really liked him. Not that I don't like Fundora. I really like Fundora as well. But in that first round, I was like, oh man, no. I thought maybe Tim was carrying some of the scars from a Desalia fight. Also, Fundora was looking really good, and I was like, oh, this is just a different guy.
Half steps back.
Yeah, I mean, he looked very good in those first 4 rounds, and I'm like, all right, this is just a different guy. I'm like, tough night for Tszyu. He was getting rocked every round.
Yeah.
And then Tszyu, I mean, I was so proud of him because he was getting hurt every round, but he was finding ways to get to him more and more. And every round, he went from landing 1 shot. Then the next round he lands 2 shots. Then he lands 4 shots. Then he lands 6 shots. Then he's like, all right. I'm like, oh wow. I forgot what round it was. I think it was like 5 or 6 were like.
Because of the Mendoza knockout, you're
like,
oh
it's
man,
it's there. But so was Tim. And Tim was timing these really good check hooks with the left. He was landing these awesome right hands. He busts Fundora's nose right at the end of one of the rounds. Blood starts pouring out of his nose. He's got blood over his face. He starts to look like the first fight again. I'm like, yo, Tim's back in this fight. This guy's a dog. Boom, 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 boom. And then that last round, like you said, Jimmy, that was like the best round of the fight for him.
The end of the round.
He landed so many good, like crushing shots. And I felt like every time he hit him, he was like, this is the one. Boom! And he was like looking at Fundora to not be there anymore. He's like, shit, okay. Boom! Hits him with another one.
And then Fundora came back.
And then Fundora came back, and I watched him because I was literally, so Tim's corner was right in front of me, and I watched him walk back to the corner completely defeated.
Yeah.
And it wasn't defeated like he got beaten at him. It got defeated with like, it doesn't matter what I hit this guy with, he's still here.
That's what I was saying. When I saw that, I was saying right there, that's the realization that, okay, you're hitting Fundora, but this is the kind of fight Fundora's used to anyway. Yeah. The Fundora you saw the first few rounds is the Fundora who's been working on things. He's improved. But if he has to, he can still be a dog.
Yeah.
Because that's what he's always been. He's been that pit bull type of fighter. So you got to him, but you're still gonna have to deal with him. And I don't know if you want to deal with him.
And also with a 6-round lead with a knockdown. So, I mean, I got to knock this guy out, and clearly I can't.
I don't think he was even thinking that, though. And I went to Lance Pugmire, who was sitting right next to me, and I go, I literally say, Tim gets stopped next round. And he goes, really? And I go, absolutely. And then they called it, and I was like, see?
Yeah.
he was either not going to make it out of the round. I was like, he's done.
He went kamikaze.
As soon as he walked back, I go, that was his last hurrah.
Yeah.
He's done next round.
Yeah.
Some of the best analysis I've ever heard of the famous Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield ear-biting incident. Teddy Atlas said, it's not a coincidence. He beat him. He bit his ear after landing big punches because he landed those punches and went, I cannot get this guy out of here. I got to get out some other way. So a lot of times a fighter is defeated by, oh man, he's doing really well. He knows he can't get this guy out of here. That's when they become.
And that's we've seen that in other times too. It's not,
it's
the quitting. It's the quiet quitting we call it. Some guys. They're more classy about it. Tszyu is just like, that's it, I'm done,
Yeah.
And some guys do the Tyson bite or the Brandon Rios, the Anthony Peterson against Brandon Rios when you just start throwing low blows.
Yeah.
Or Andrew Galata against Riddick Bowe, just start throwing low blows. Or Victor Ortiz.
Sonny Liston shoulder.
Yeah. Or Victor Ortiz, you jump in with a headbutt like you're a Billy Goat and hoping that the whole world sees it so it looks so bad that you get disqualified against Mayweather. You do all these things and some guys, it just, hey, bro, I'm done.
He went out with class.
With Victor, I think because he had already quit, he needed to figure out a different way. So I think it's with Mayweather because with Maidana, they crushed him. So he's like, all right, I got to figure out a different way here.
I got a personal anecdote. When I fought Spence, so I had a knee injury going into the fight, but I underestimated Spence. I mean, he's as good as he is and was. He hadn't fought anybody yet.
I love that you can say that. I underestimated Spence.
I was one of the first major guys. I was the first world champion he fought. So it was like I was thinking, I'm gonna out hustle this guy. And I had a knee injury, but I was like, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna be able to deal with him. He's not used to a slick guy like me. I'm gonna be able to make it work. In the first round, I moved a lot, but the knee was just killing me, and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna stand my ground and have to, old man him, savvy him a little bit. And that second round, I remember I hit him with a straight right hand that hit his chest. I just missed his chin, and I felt like I punched a brick wall. Boom, nothing moved, and I was like, shit, I need my legs. It's
gonna be a long night.
It's gonna be a long night. So I stood and fought with him, and I remember it was like, I came back to the corner and I told John David, and I was like, my knee is. He goes, well, you just gotta stand and fight him. And I was like, all right, we just gotta stand and fight him. Wow, bad idea. So if I'm stand and fight him.
So you think maybe you should body slam him and get out of the fight that way?
It was the last round. It was the round I got.
You got a good high crotch, I've heard.
Yeah. I got a. He was too strong anyway. But so we're in there, and like it was the round when I got stopped, and I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna bite down my mouthpiece and swing. And I hit him with a really good body shot. Boom, and he hits me left hand. Bang, and I went down. I was just like, and I'm sitting there, and Benji Esteve is accountant, and I'm like trying to get up, and my knee is all locked up, and I'm just like, fuck. And I was just like, but that's one way to get out of a fight too. You just go for it. Go out on your shield.
Well, I mean, sometimes they'll, you ever see like in the corner where they say one more round, one more round. I remember actually Rudy Hernandez with his brother, rest in peace, Genaro Hernandez, the final round when they went for it against Mayweather, when Mayweather won his first world championship. If you watch that fight, because I used to watch that fight a lot to study it, the penultimate round, Rudy is saying one more round. And I remember Larry Merchant, Larry didn't know nothing about boxing. He was just a great personality. But he was trying to figure out why they were saying one more round because it was only like round 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, you men's a genius. It's because they're going to go for it one last round and then they're not going to go for it anymore, obviously.
He's getting tuned up. Yeah.
And that was what they did. They went for it in that last round and Mayweather tuned them up in the like it was the 8th round and that was it. They stopped in the corner. So, sometimes you give it that one last go. Whatever happens, and then I got nothing left. Yeah. And maybe it's not a bad. If you're outgunned, it's not a bad idea where you're like, all right, let me just go all out for it, and see what I can do.
Hit the F it button.
Yeah, and then whatever. If I don't get it, I don't get it. Because if I don't go for it, I'm just gonna take a slow, debilitating beating anyway, right? So
that's what I was thinking in the Spence fight. I'm either gonna sit here and cover up and just get beat up, or I can go out swinging. I can at least, listen, the last shot he cracked me with, I hit him, he hit me, harder. I went down, and he fucking drilled me with the left hand. But I was like, I'd rather go out like that. I'd rather go out on shield.
Yeah, and that's what I think Tim Tszyu did. So that's why I say that I'm not as hard on him quitting because it's the composite destruction over the course of several fights. He just
could you hear what was going on in the round? I haven't watched it back yet because I was there live.
They were speaking in Russian, by the way.
Yeah, they
were speaking in Russian. So if you understand Russian in the comment section, tell us what was going on.
They used to invest in translators back in the day. And now they don't even do that anymore.
Well, whatever it was in Russian, it was. This is all you got. I understand. Tim Tszyu.
It was no mas. We all speak that.
Right. It was no mas. We all understand that. The future of Tim Tszyu, what could it possibly be? As it makes news, you'll find out right here on Boxing Scene Today. The future of Sebastian Fundora, Harvard and looking very, very bright at 154.
The Harvard bar. What do they call it?
The Harvard bar.
The Goodwill Hunting.
Yeah, the Harvard bar. There's a Harvard bar. Equations on the wall. Yeah. Well, he's a smart guy and a great fighter.
Do you like apples? Because I got a number.
How you like them apples? That's Sebastian Fundora. As he gets his next fight, it'll make news here. We'll talk about it right here on Boxing Scene Today. Tune in. Find out why millions are watching.
Fundora's still champ. How you like them apples?
I like them apples.